Well, hello. Welcome to another, wouldn't necessarily call this an episode, but maybe I'll just call it a segment of the Real Mike Pittman Podcast. And joining me on, matter of fact, there's nobody joining me on the show today. And I'm here basically to talk about fasting and what are the benefits of fasting. Um, there are countless types of fast that are out there. You have a thing called intermittent fasting. And let me issue a disclaimer right now. I don't claim to be an expert on this, but by the same token, I do know there are a lot of positive benefits that can be had as a result of fasting. A friend of mine, and some of you might know him, who has been fasting here in the town that I live in. And he has had some health issues. He suffers from a debilitating disease. And he has basically kind of at his wit's end in terms of trying to heal himself. So he's actually has went on a 30-day fast with just water only. And he seems to be doing quite well with that. Excuse me. He has, I believe it's MS, and has difficulty, walking and, doing some other things. So he basically has resigned himself to go on this 30-day fast to be able to hopefully gain some more mobility in his health. It is amazing. I think he's on day 17 now on his fast. His name is Tom Miner. He probably won't mind me saying his name because he has a YouTube channel too, where you can go to, and he gives a daily report basically on how the fast is going for him. So I take my hat off to him. I know food is one of those things it's hard to give up. I mean, it's basically, it can be addicting. Sugar can be addicting. Eating meat can be addicting. Eating bread can be addicting. Ice cream or whatever. Anything that you eat and put in your mouth and you can't stop it, in my opinion, I believe that's addicting. So he's been on this fast now again for 17 days. And I've had others tell me about how they fasted. And as a result of the fast, they have, gained a lot of health benefits. And so it's kind of why I've been intrigued by what Tom is doing to go on this 30-day fast and to basically be able to help heal himself of a lot of issues and problems that he has. I believe he first got diagnosed with this condition probably, I want to say maybe 10 years ago. And he sent me a text probably day 5 into the fast just to say how good he felt and how much energy he had, and how he was, he could feel circulation in his limbs. All this from saying, he's fasting. There are other types of fast. There are intermittent fasts where you eat just a designated time throughout the day. If it's an 8 hour window, a 6 hour window, or 4 hour window. So technically you don't eat for 20 hours, then you got 4 hours where you can eat. Or you don't eat for 16 hours and you got 8 hours that you can eat. And this seems to be pretty effective in terms of individuals being able to lose weight, being able to eliminate some particular types of ailments that they might have. So there are a lot of benefits to it. When you think about fasting, you think about people basically walking around looking like skeletons. At least that was always my initial response when people say they were fasting. Normally you would see people in church say, I'm on the fast. I'm trying to get an answer from the Lord and I'm going to fast. And because even right now, the church that I attend, they have what's called the Daniel fast going on now for 21 days. You don't eat any sugar, any pleasant breads, any meats. And for 21 days, they do this fast. But for some people, that's actually a lifestyle. It's what they do day in and day out. And I've just become so much more aware of benefits and, the things that we put in our bodies in terms of how they make us feel, what they do to our health, and to be able to eliminate some of those items and things and to be able to get some health results as a result of it. I have a story to tell personally. Well, not me personally, but about a family member that fasted and had a serious illness. They had an illness that was called sarcoidosis. For those of you who don't know what sarcoidosis is, this is something that attacks your organs and causes growth on them. And they say there's no cure for sarcoidosis. And they give you medication, steroids, or whatever that you have to take for the rest of your life. So I personally know I have a family member that has suffered from sarcoidosis. And when they got the diagnosis and when they were told that they would have to be on steroids for the rest of their life and take medication, one of the first things that they did is start praying. And then what they did is went on a 40-day fast for 40 days. Nothing but water for 40 straight days. And I'm here to say after the 40-day fast, their sarcoidosis was gone. This has been probably 12, 13 years ago. Matter of fact, it's probably been longer than that, probably more like 16 years ago that they, went on this fast and eliminated basically sarcoidosis. And I witnessed it firsthand. So I know it wasn't no trickery, no underhanded stuff that went on. I saw the x-rays. They had a biopsy done. And now here we are, years and years later, and no sign of it at all. No steroids. How you doing, Deborah? It's my cousin Deborah has joined us and was talking about the benefits of fasting. But it was saying that there's a family member that had a terrible prognosis of sarcoidosis. And this was the same disease that took comedian Bernie Mac's life, sarcoidosis. And it can be a deadly disease, as we know, because it took Bernie Mac out. But what compelled this family member to go on the 40-day fast, I'm not sure. But I know for a fact they got rid of it. And here we are, years and years later, no sign of it, no medication, no nothing. And so when I heard my friend Tom saying he was going to go on the 30-day water-only fast to see if he can get some relief from the multiple sclerosis that he suffers from. Well, I knew personally that there was some sort of benefit from fasting. Uh, and I can't say it's going to make the blind see or the lame walk. That I don't know. But I do know for a fact, for a fact, that this particular family member healed themselves of sarcoidosis by doing a 40-day fast. Now, you think about that, only water for 40 days, water only for 40 straight days. I'm not talking about sugar water. I'm not talking about broth, strictly water for 40 days. And I'm not sure if it was bottled water, tap water. I would imagine it was probably some sort of bottled water, probably. So, but for 40 straight days, that's all they did was drink water, and they eliminated sarcoidosis. So when that happened, and when I saw that and saw the results that they got, it made me aware that it's something to this in terms of what we put in our body and the things that we can eliminate from our body. So I don't know if it's maybe because more of what she didn't put in her body, more so than what she did, which was water. So that question, I don't know, but I know for a fact that the sarcoidosis is gone. And so when you think about fasting and you think about the foods that you eat, and especially those foods that you are, for the most part, are addicted to, and you just can't stop. I mean, you see some of these shows on TV where you see some person that weighs 600 pounds, hadn't been out of the house in 15 years, been in the bed. I'm like, well, who does the shopping for them? Somebody that big, 600 pounds. So somebody's feeding them. And then you see people that have gastric bypass surgery because they can't stop eating. And as a result, they want to staple their stomachs. I know some people that have done that, lost a lot of weight, and I know some have done it, and they gained the weight back. Now, how they gain the weight back with a staple stomach, I don't know. Maybe they pull the staples out, or the staples come out, or whatever. But needless to say, people do those type of things. And unfortunately, here in America, we always want to have a, quickly, give me a pill. I want this to be done quick. Let me do whatever, because it takes time to do these particular type things. Especially when you're talking about 40 days, 30 days. Probably the longest fast that I've ever been on in my life, I believe, was 7 days. And I remember having a headache probably after about 4 or 5 days, and I was like, man, I didn't. When I started, I really didn't have a goal in mind as to how many days I was going to do. I was going to say, I'm just going to go as far as I can. And I did 7 days fast with just water only. So, and how did I feel afterwards? I was hungry. I know that. But by the same token, after I got over the dizziness and whatnot, I did have a little bit of energy. I felt a little different in my body. And I remember this particular family member too, that when they had other things that were on their body, scars and boils and that type of stuff, all that stuff went away. So it's something to be said about fasting and the benefits of it. Hey, how you doing, Sheila? I see Sheila's joined us and showing the show. But it's amazing for those of you out there that have fasted and have done things like that. It's something, and there's something to it. What it is, I don't know, because when I think about people when they have fasted and have gotten healed from certain things, again, I go back to what is it that you are putting in your body in the first place that you're not doing that calls you to feel better? What is it? What is it that we eat on a daily basis? Uh, we all know that a lot of the foods that we eat are, I say, contaminated. I said this once before. When you go to the grocery store and whatever it is that you buy, read the labels. And when you read the labels and you see ingredients that you can't pronounce, it makes you wonder, what is this? And I actually one day, I can't remember what the product was that I bought, but I looked up, I Googled all the products, all the ingredients that were in the product. And one of the actual ingredients was something that they use in embalming fluid. You hear what I said? Embalming fluid. So now you think about this. You're putting this in your body, and it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure this stuff out, because, I mean, embalming fluid is what they use for dead people to preserve them. And basically, that's what's in a lot of these foods are preservatives, because when they sell stuff, they want to give it a shelf life, and they want it to last as long as they can. So when that happens, and you look at all these different ingredients that are in the foods that you eat, it makes you wonder, what's going on? There are a lot of documentaries out there that talk about, foods and that type of thing, and what's in the food, and, what it can do for you, what it can and can't do for you. But I even go back to the days, you think about Adam and Eve, they were in the garden and had paradise, until Eve bit the apple. But again, there was everything that they needed that was in the garden. And I think about some of my older relatives that are older now, and they live to be in their 90s, and some of them lived down south, lived on the farm. And you think about it, now, even though they had hogs, and which a hog is, I don't even go there with them, but they had animals and they ate them, but these animals weren't fed the things that they feed the animals now. And they lived, in their 80s and 90s, strong, straight up, back. So it's folks, I just think we just need to really pay attention to what it is that we're eating, and to fast. Again, I'm just amazed, again, like from the family member, like for those of you who have come on lately, I've said earlier, talked about fasting and, what are the benefits of fasting. I had a family member that had sarcoidosis. And again, this was the disease that killed comedian Bernie Mac. And they got a prognosis that there was no cure, that they were going to have to take steroids the rest of their life. And it was a miserable prognosis. They went on a 40-day fast for 40 days, nothing but water for 40 days. And this has been 12 or 13 years ago. Eliminated, gone. Doctors were amazed, didn't know what happened. They said, oh, it's in remission, but it could come back. Well, it's been, let's say, over 12 years ago, maybe this was 2003, more like 16 or 17 years ago, and nothing. No steroids, no medication, they can't find it. So, say it was a miracle, yes, it was. For those of you believe in God and prayer, he did a miracle. And at the same time, too, they did something as well. So, for any of you that are out there that might even have any type of issues that you're dealing with, if it's high blood pressure, if it's diabetes, that's another thing. I've seen people say they've been on the fast and changed their eating habits, and they've eliminated type whatever. I think they got two types, type 1 and type 2 of diabetes. Eliminated diabetes. So if folks, it's something to be said about the foods that we eat and the effect that it has on our body. If you don't believe me, you can Google it. You can go to YouTube, and there's so many videos, so many testimonials out there of individuals that have done this. Hey, how you doing, Mike? See, my friend Mike Harris down in Houston has joined us. talking about the benefits of fasting. And Mike knew me as a person. I've known Mike for a number of years. Years ago, we played baseball in the Cardinal organization, but I had the nickname of Big Sweetsy because I would probably have 2 packs of Oreo cookies and eat them all in one day. I'm not talking about a little bit. I'm talking about the whole package of Oreo cookies and eat them all in one day. And sugar addiction is what it was, basically, which is no different than smoking addiction, alcohol addiction, crack addiction, drug addiction. When you look at the things that some of the foods that you can eat can do to your body. So going back to the benefits of fasting again, even the mental clarity that you get, people I've talked to that fasted that had arthritis and say their arthritis is gone. It's something to this. And the more I dig into this and research it and just get information, I'm seeing more and more and more and more people that are saying their own testimony in terms of by fasting and cutting out certain foods, what it's done for their health. I mean, it's amazing, absolutely amazing. And I know for one thing too, when we start talking about fasting, and if you're doing an intermittent fast again, which is you only eat for certain hours throughout the day, there are people that have eliminated a lot of illnesses and stuff as a result of that, just by intermittent fasting, eating 4 hours a day or 6 hours a day. And these individuals still eat what they want to. So they don't curtail and just say, I'm just going to eat a certain food. These individuals are eating what they want to eat, but they only eat during certain hours of the day. And they've had weight loss, a lot of weight loss. And normally when you lose weight, your blood pressure normally goes down. Your sugar levels go down. So there are just so many benefits that can be had as a result of fasting. So for those of you that are out there that are on the fence about fasting, I say only thing you got to lose is probably some unwanted weight, some fogginess in your head, and probably some type of illness that you have been dealing with. So I'd say give it a try. Give it a try because, again, what do you got to lose? And I think once you get into it and you start seeing the benefits of it, it's going to make you even more and more say, well, I need to fast, maybe once a month. I need to fast, twice a month. And I know some religions that they really teach fasting. And you think about, some of those don't have a lot of the health issues that we have. And it's very prevalent that these individuals, and some of the diets that they have, some religions, they don't eat pork. And then when you even think about a pig, and again, I don't want to really jump off base here to start talking about it, but you think about it, when you have an animal that you can't poison, no matter what you give them, you can't poison them. And then you can turn around and eat that animal. Makes you wonder when you have people to say they don't want to eat pork, and as Black people, we eat everything from the rooter to the tutor, the pig nose, the pig tails, the pig head, the chitlins, the pig feet, everything. And so you think about it, if you can't poison the hog and whatever the hog eat goes through their intestines, and basically you're eating these same intestines, which in essence are chitlins. Back in the day, I used to eat them. Don't eat them anymore. But back in the day, I used to eat them. And even when I used to eat pork years ago, and I wondered why, and that was one of the reasons how I stopped eating meat, was every time I would eat bacon, I would get a headache. And I would suffer from real bad sinus infections, terrible, to the point I had to take medication. And so what I did, I kept a food diary. of everything that I ate. Everything, I wrote it down. If it was a sunflower seed, I wrote it down. And I started eliminating certain things from my diary in terms of things I eat. And sinus infections went away. I haven't had one in, my goodness, 30 years probably. I don't know, a long time. Haven't had a sinus infection. And then I used to love to eat ice cream. Stopped eating ice cream because every time I would eat ice cream, I would get stomach ache. And I guess you can say that's what lactose intolerant or whatever. But ice cream, I used to love it. So I guess I'm saying all this. And again, let me issue this disclaimer once again. I'm not an expert on any of this. These are just observations that I've made over time and talking with people who have experienced a lot of the things that I'm talking about in terms of certain illnesses and things that they've gotten rid of. And again, a friend of mine named Tom, his name is Tom Miner, who suffers from multiple sclerosis, is on the 30-day water only fast right now. He's on day 17. And he feels like his health is really improving. He has a YouTube channel, and I cannot remember what it is right now. And maybe I'll put it back in the, stick it online to try to, but every day at the end of the day, he talks about, how he feels. And he, tells me he's got so much energy for somebody that hasn't eaten in 17 days. So much energy. And he even feels like he's getting some, and he didn't want to really get out there too much with it, but feels like he can feel circulation in his legs. So I've been following him because I'm curious as to, after the end of 30 days, what will his, what would it look like? And for somebody, that's got sarcoidosis, somebody that's got multiple sclerosis, and if he's getting any type of benefit as a result of that, folks, we really need to start paying attention to that, especially any of you that are out there that have any type of illnesses. And you want to try to figure out, hey, what can I do to make myself feel better? Start about what's in your body. So I didn't want to stay on here long tonight. I just wanted to kind of talk about this, and periodically I'll just come on here and just turn the camera on and just start a conversation. Anybody that wants to listen, that has questions or whatever, or if you got a topic that you feel strongly about and you got some knowledge about, hit me up. I'll bring you on and we can talk about stuff, because it's our health is so important. And I can't say it enough in terms of just making sure that, we all going to leave this earth one day. I always say, ain't none of us getting out of here alive. But while we're here on this earth, I think it's something to be said about having a quality of life, not so much a quantity of life. You can live 90 years and be miserable all 90 years. But say, well, I'm 90 years old. Well, yeah, you can't walk. You're blind in one eye and can't see out the other. You can't hear. Your knees hurt. You're taking about 20 different medications. So there's something to be said about your quality of life. So unless anybody else has got any other questions, I'm looking at the chat line here, and I see a lot of my relatives on here and good friends. And my cousin Deborah says sarcoidosis is harder on men. I didn't know that. Again, and I didn't really know a whole lot about the disease until a family member that I know had it. And for full disclosure, this family member was my wife, somebody I've lived with and been with for 38 years. And so I saw it firsthand, was there, witnessed it. And here we are, you say 38 years into our marriage. And I've seen how she was healed, how God healed her, and how he basically used fasting to do it with. So something to be said for that. And if in fact you feel you can do it, I would do it. And if you know somebody that's done it, let me know. I'll bring them on here and we'll talk about it. I've been doing this podcast now, probably for, I don't know what, almost 2 months. Something that I wanted to do because I like to talk to people, and I like to talk about things that'll help us and move us forward as a people. I don't get into all the gossiping. Or somebody asked me the other day, what you think about, what was it, Shay Shay or Cat Williams? I said, nothing. I mean, we got too many issues in this country, especially as Black people. And this is just my opinion, so don't shoot the messenger, that we spend a lot of our time, talking about stuff that really is not going to move us forward as a people. So that's just my opinion. You might disagree with me, and that's fine, but that's my opinion. So I'm just really in tune with this now. I'm really in tune with it, and I want everybody else to be in tune with it as well, especially our people, because we last in everything, last in health, last in wealth, everything. We seem like we on the bottom of the list, and we don't have to be there. We don't have to be there, especially when we have the power to pick ourselves up and move ourselves forward. So whatever the organizations that you're in, if your church has something, maybe they need to start doing a Wednesday night service with about how to eat healthy. How many times I know I've talked to pastors that they say they go to the hospital and they see people in the hospital who got their legs amputated and diabetes or high blood pressure, had heart disease or whatever. And they go in, they say, well, Pastor, will you pray for me? And then they get out of the hospital, they go right back to doing the same thing that got them there in the first place. So, and I understand, it takes a lot of willpower. Probably weight loss is probably one of the most hardest things to do. And with weight loss, basically, when you lose weight, is don't put as much food in your body. And so, which goes back again to fasting. So, I know I'm just kind of rambling on, but this is something I just wanted to come on here and turn the camera on and just talk about it. I am going to be doing the episode, and I'm trying to find some guests to bring on. I kind of changed the subject here to talk about dreams. We all have them. And I believe that, dreams can warn us. They can speak to us. You have dreams about family members, about situations that happen. And one of the things I do when I keep, I'll keep my phone kind of close by. And when I have a dream, if I can remember it, the first thing I'll do, I get my phone and turn on the recorder, and I'll say what that dream was, what it was. I have some dreams I had on my phone for probably, 4 or 5 years. And I'll go back to them and I'll listen to them and I'll see if there's anything in my life that occurred that as a result of that dream that I would have had. And there have been some things on there that I guess I was showed in the dream that kind of, come to fruition, a couple of years later. So there's something to be said about that too. And again, I'm going to be doing an episode on that. And there's some individuals that I'm trying to contact now that I'll bring on, that I want to bring on and talk about that. Some people that say they interpret dreams, or some might say, well, that sounds like there's some sort of witch doctor or crystal ball looker. But, I believe it was David that interpret dreams in the Bible. And I got a minister out there who can correct me if I'm wrong. But so something to be said about that. People have dreams, and to keep them out of danger, to warn them. I remember when you start talking about dreams, I'll say this. When my wife and I had been married, probably not even a year. And she woke up one morning and said, honey, I had this dream. And in this dream, I saw these numbers going across the sky. And she said what every number was, name those numbers. And she said, I need to go play the lottery. And I'm like, I don't play the lottery. I'm like, you wasting your money to go play the lottery. You're not going to win nothing. And this was in the morning, probably about 8 o'clock in the morning. So that evening, we had an invitation to go over to some friends' house and have dinner with them over their house. So we got to their house, I think about 5 o'clock or so, and we had been there about a half hour. And I remember about a half hour later, my wife, she starts to put her coat on, and I'm like, "Hey, where are you going?" She said, "Well, I need to make a run." I said, "Where are you going?" "We getting ready to eat dinner with our friends here. We at their house, and they got the meal prepared, and everybody looking at her kind of strange. It's like, you don't want to tell nobody where you're going. What's up?" So, she said, "Well, that's okay." She took her coat off and sat down, and we enjoyed the evening, had dinner, whatever. We go home, and the next morning, because back then I used to get the newspaper, they would throw it. This was before the internet and all this fancy stuff we have now. And she opened up the newspaper, and guess what? Those numbers that she dreamed were the numbers. I forget how much money it was, but it was a whole lot of money. And I think I almost fainted when she showed me the newspaper and I saw those numbers in there. I was floored, needless to say. And to this day, I told her, "Hey, if you ever dream another number, I don't care what time of day or night it is, I'm going to take $1 and I think I'll go play." And again, I don't play the lottery, but if you ever dream of something as vivid as that, maybe I start trying to put scripture with it. It was God give you power to gain wealth. Which I even said something to a minister. I said, "Man, if I hit the lottery for $10 million and I gave the church 10%, I said, what would you say?" You know what the pastor told me? He said, "I tell you to go and sin no more." So I thought that was funny. So, but anyway, I want to let you all go. I know I kind of rambled here tonight, but we're all going to be doing a show on dreams. I hope you got a little bit out of what we talked about tonight and talking about the benefits of fasting. And folks, I just want to say again, I don't claim to be an expert on some of the stuff that I talk about. Some stuff I do know what I'm talking about. Start talking about real estate and development, that type of stuff. I can speak intelligently on that because I've done it before. But some of the other things I'm more intrigued by because I've seen others that have done it. So I will go ahead and I'm going to sign off. I'm going to say those that came and watched tonight, go to our YouTube channel and subscribe to our channel. You can go to the Real Mike Pittman.com to my website and subscribe, or you can go to my YouTube page at YouTube at the Real Mike Pittman. Real Mike Pittman Podcast, and like our show. You can go online and look at some of the other shows of individuals that we have had on the show and interviewed. So thanks a lot for tuning in. I'm Mike Pittman of the Real Mike Pittman Podcast. Family, I see you out there. I appreciate you coming in and watching, and we'll be getting something on here shortly about dreams, and also want to talk to about women's mental health as well. I think that's very important. Not men's mental health. I'm talking about women's mental health, and I'm not trying to cast aspersions and say all women got something mentally wrong, but there's been a lot of stuff going on here lately. About that. So, and yeah, Deborah, we'll talk about that. Go ahead and send me your number, send it to me in instant message, and we definitely can talk about that. So I'm going to go ahead and sign off. Hopefully I can get some guests on tomorrow and we can really talk about dreams, because it's something that everybody does. Everybody has. I don't know anybody that never say they never had a dream. I mean, think about the biggest thing that everybody talk about, and he had a dream, was Martin Luther King. Gave a speech on it. Everybody in the world talks about it, said he has a dream. So Martin had one. I mean, you can have one too. So I want to go ahead and sign off here. I know that this is being recorded, so you can come back and watch this later on. Send me an instant message, send me an emails if you got any questions about it, what we talked about here tonight. And I'm Mike Pittman of the Real Mike Pittman Podcast, the host, and I am signing off and say, sleep tight and don't let the bed bugs bite tonight. Take care. We'll see you later.